On today's episode of Time About the Movies, it's that wonderful time of the year, the weekend after Thanksgiving, and you know what that means. Time to go to the shelf and see what bad movies we have and put it out there. And World Pictures gives us the one this year, The Warrior's Way, which features Jeffrey Rush, Kate Bosworth, and Danny Houston among its cast. But we do have a good movie this weekend, and yet another one of those movies that should have won the Oscar over The King's Speech, Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis in Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan. And Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor starring in a very unusual romantic comedy, I Love You, Phillip Morris. As we begin the final month of 2010, December 3rd, 2010. That's today on Time About the Movies, coming your way next.
He was a legendary assassin who must kill the last of their clan. But when he refused his mission, I must go, or you will all be in danger. He became the target. Ninjas. Damn.
Post-Thanksgiving leftovers. Damn. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. And, of course, we are looking at the three big new releases of December 3rd, 2010. If you even want to call our first movie the biggest new release, it's really not. But it was the highest grossing of the new releases. And that is, of course, The Warrior's Way. Its plot centers around a 19th century warrior named Yang who is ordered to kill the last member of an enemy clan, a baby girl. He refuses the mission and flees with the child to a dilapidated town in the American West. So it's not only a movie about ninjas, it's also a Western. I guess they saw Cowboys and Aliens was coming up and said, we got to get this out here before that comes out, because we know that's going to be a hit, even though it really wasn't. But this is an idea that should be fun. Cowboys and ninjas together in one movie. And yet this film can't even do that right. This movie is so stupid. Like, this is one of the dumbest movies I have ever seen in my entire life. And not dumb in a fun way. No, this is a dumb movie in the sense that it doesn't know whether or not it wants to be play it straight and take it seriously and be funny, or does it want to be a serious movie altogether? And it really tries to get both of them, but it can't work on any way, shape, or form. And it's a movie that is just such an ungodly mess and features way too many talented people in the supporting cast. Like I said, Jeffrey Rush, Kate Bosworth, Danny Houston, Tony Cox. All these people deserve better movies than this, but this is a movie that was clearly riding on the fact that one of the producers was one of the producers of The Lord of the Rings, Barry Osborne. Okay, and what else am I supposed to take away from it? I mean, maybe if I look at the production of this, maybe I can figure out why this movie flopped so badly. Oh, wait. It began shooting all the way back in 2007 and finished filming in 2008. It's coming out on the fifth to the last weekend of the year of 2010. I think I don't need to say too much more about why this movie failed. This was one of the biggest box office bombs of the year. I mean, this was right up there with MacGruber, Jonah Hex, and another movie we'll get to in a couple weeks' time. But, yeah, it only brought in $11 million off of a $42 million budget. So, that's pretty much all you got to say about The Warrior's Way. So let's go ahead and get to a good movie, a really good movie, and that is Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis in the latest film from Darren Aronofsky, and that is Black Swan.
Stars, an instant classic.
My daughter, the Swan Queen.
Black Swan is outlandishly entertaining.
Just want to be perfect.
I want to see passion. Attack it.
Natalie Portman delivers a dazzling tour de force that makes her an instant leading contender in every Best Actress race.
What happened to my sweet girl? She's gone.
Director Darren Aronofsky soars to new heights with Black Swan. It's a masterpiece. Black Swan, rated R. In select theaters December 10th.
You know, this is one of those movies where I have that thing where if I wish this movie would have come out in 2010, because I probably would have seen this and I really would have had this as my favorite movie of the year, but no. This is one of those movies that opened in limited release in December, and you had to wait until after New Year's for the movie to get to your local theater, which happened to me. And sadly, this did not make my top 10 list for 2010, but I would have put it on there had I seen it that year, because it is that really good of a movie, and maybe Darren Aronofsky's best film overall. Revolves around the production of Swan Lake by a ballet company in New York, and the production requires a ballerina to play both the innocent white swan and the sensual Black Swan. And one dancer, played by Natalie Portman, is a perfect fit for the White Swan, while another, played by Mila Kunis, has a personality that matches the Black Swan. When the two compete for the parts, Nina finds a dark side to herself, Nina being played by Natalie Portman. And this is an incredible masterpiece of a movie. This is one of those movies that, like I said, should have won Best Picture at the Oscars, but no, we had to give it to the safest, most blandest movie to date. I'm trying to keep my hatred towards The King's Speech out of these other reviews, but I'm sorry, I can't help it when a great movie like this is getting shunned to the side for regurgitated slop. But Natalie Portman does give a great performance that did give her a well-deserved Academy Award. I really thought Mila Kunis probably should have gotten nominated too. I mean, she should have gotten a nomination for Best Supporting Actress because she was just as good as Natalie Portman was in this movie. I mean, it's easier to just look at Mila Kunis as, oh, that actress from that '70s show and Family Guy. When you look at her movies, it's just like she has shown time and time again how good of an actor she can really be, and this is definitely one of, if not her strongest performance to date. Vincent Cassel, I think, does a very good job as the dance instructor. Barbara Hershey's pretty good playing the mother. Winona Ryder's the only one that kind of felt like she wasn't really used all that well. She's barely in the movie, and the little bit she's in, she really doesn't do anything that impressive overall. I mean, she's kind of upstaged by everybody else in there, but it felt like they threw her in there just because, hey, she's Winona Ryder, she's a recognizable name, and she doesn't feel like she's needed in this movie in particular, but like I said, it doesn't take away from the film in general. Darren Aronofsky, I think, does a great job directing this, giving this film this unique visual style to it. I mean, the last 25 minutes alone, when you have Natalie Portman's character hitting the height of her hallucinations, and while the play is going on, like, it's legitimately terrifying. It turns into somewhat of a horror film, kind of a precursor to what The Substance kind of would be like later on, or like a David Cronenberg movie. I mean, the creepiest parts coming together in this movie are when she turns into a swan while she's doing the performance. Her neck starts to expand, her toes come together, and at the same time, these visuals in this are absolutely incredible to look at. And it's just something that once you see it, it's never leaving the back of your brain, no matter how hard you try. I mean, this movie is an amazing film. Great performances, great visuals, terrifying elements, incredible direction, a great Oscar-winning performance by Portman. Kunis and Cassel were great as well. This is Darren Aronofsky's best movie, in my personal opinion. He's made a lot of great movies, but this is definitely the high mark for him as a director as a whole. This is easily one of the best movies of the year. A great film that should have won another one that should have won Best Picture, but you know that story already, so. With that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, a very bold and daring film for Jim Carrey, especially after the last couple of movies he was in. But this is one that, unlike the number 23, that actually worked. I Love You, Phillip Morris.
We'll be together soon, I promise!
How do you keep escaping prison?
I have an early release order for Phillip Morris. I'm his lawyer.
We want you to be our chief financial officer.
How big was this Christmas bonus?
Pretty big.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was weird, too.
Of course, a movie where you have The Mask and Obi-Wan Kenobi getting together as a couple is going to lead to a lot of interesting elements to it. And when you add in the people who wrote Bad Santa, who are making their directorial debut, how can you go wrong? I Love You, Phillip Morris is a dark comedy where you have it's based on the story of con artist, imposter, and multiple prisoner escapee Stephen J. Russell, who's played by Jim Carrey, and while incarcerated, he falls in love with a fellow inmate, Phillip Morris, played by Ewan McGregor. After Morris is released from prison, Russell escapes from prison 4 times to be reunited with Morris. And hijinks and hilarity ensues, and this is definitely one of Jim Carrey's best performances overall, especially a great performance where he really is he's really taken it to a level where it doesn't feel like a movie where he's trying way too hard, like the number 23, where he was trying incredibly hard to do something different. This does not feel that way. This feels like a performance where he's really given it his all, and you do buy the chemistry between him and Ewan McGregor. And you know, these two directors, John Requa and Glenn Ficarra, like I said, they wrote movies like Bad Santa, they wrote the Bad News Bears remake, they wrote Cats and Dogs, Looney Tunes Back in Action. You forget that these two actually wrote for Nickelodeon back in the heyday. They wrote for the Wild Thornberrys, they wrote several episodes of The Angry Beavers. I mean, these guys are very good writers, and they turned out to be pretty good directors. I'm looking at the movies they've made, They've not made one bad movie. A Crazy Stupid Love was great. Focus was a really good movie. And even Whiskey Tango Foxtrot may have not been their best film overall, but it's probably their worst. But it's not a bad movie at all. It's a really good film. I mean, these guys have a really good future ahead of them as directors, and this is probably a great way to. This is really a great way to start off their directorial careers. They really do have a great element to it with these two solid performances by Carey and McGregor, and it really is very funny, very clever stuff, very silly stuff, and it works because it feels like a film written by the guys who made Bad Santa and the Bad News Bears remake. It feels like a film that will be set up in the same circumstances as this particular film is. It's a terrific film, man. It's one that I don't think gets as much attention as it should, but it's definitely one that should get more respect. It's a movie that I think is very much a film that definitely needs to be seen, especially if you want to see some great underrated Jim Carrey work. I Love You, Phillip Morris definitely is the film for that. Definitely one of the more underrated films of the year. One I highly recommend checking out. I Love You, Phillip Morris. Call for Phillip Morris. I mean, we gotta throw that in there because the title of the movie literally is I Love You, Phillip Morris. But with that said, I apologize for that.
Everything about him is perfect.
We got an apartment in Manhattan. We got a house in the country.
Nothing was what it seemed. Ryan Gosling, Kirsten Dunst, Frank Langella.
These people play hardball.
All Good Things, inspired by true events. Rated R. Into theaters this December. Or see.
I was literally about to end the show, and then I completely realized I forgot our last movie, All Good Things. So scratch the end of that. Scratch the end of that show. The end of the show for right now. But All Good Things, a movie I should have. I mentioned on the last episode I was going to do, and then I completely forgot about it. But this is based on the life of Robert Durst, and that's going to play into something a little bit later on I'll talk about. It stars Ryan Gosling, Kirsten Dunst, and Frank Langella, and Gosling plays the wealthy son of a New York real estate tycoon, played by Langella, who develops a disturbing relationship with his wife, Kirsten Dunst, and becomes suspected of a series of murders, all as well as his wife's unsolved disappearance. And sure enough, 5 years after this movie came out, HBO did the documentary The Jinx, which basically Robert Durst professed admiration for the film, and basically said that, you know, in these 20 hours worth of footage over a multi-year period, he basically confessed to the murder of to everything happening. And yeah, so this movie has become part of history as time has gone on, and nobody really was talking about it at the time. In fact, it actually got pretty bad reviews when it came out, and I got a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes, 57 out of 100, which basically meant that this thing was going to crash and burn before anybody really knew about it. And sure enough, but then this film but then The Jinx came along, and then all of a sudden people started to realize, we didn't know that there was a movie that was inspired by this story in particular, so let's go watch this. And honestly, that's how I came around to it. And now that I've seen that after watching The Jinx, the movie isn't that bad in particular. It's actually a pretty decent film overall. There's a lot of stuff in there that does work. I mean, mostly the performances. I mean, you got Frank Langella, he can do no wrong, but Ryan Gosling, a great performance. This was before his big breakout year in 2011, when everyone finally realized how great of an actor this guy really was. And Kirsten Dunst, this is actually one of her main big, first major non-Spider-Man roles, where people realize that she's not just somebody who's just going to be in the Spider-Man movies for the rest of her career. I mean, yeah, she'd been in other stuff beforehand, but this is one of those ones where it's coming out around Oscar season. It's a movie that's trying to get some Academy Award consideration, and while it didn't get it, I felt like that people really looked at this and said, okay, this isn't just a Mary Jane anymore. This is actually Kirsten Dunst really showing what she can do as an actress, and I think it works very well to the film's advantages. I mean, it's not one of the best movies of the year, but it's definitely a film that is well worth checking out. It's a film that is very well done, a film that's very well put together, mostly because of the performances, and especially if you've watched The Jinx and know the story of Robert Durst as a whole. The film does a very good job of handling that, and I think it's very well presented. It's a very underrated film, and it's one I do recommend checking out. All Good Things. But that's going to wrap this episode of Time About the Movies up here, and the next time we meet, we'll take a look at the next weekend, which includes the third installment of the Chronicles of Narnia series, not released by Disney, but by 20th Century Fox, which is funny because it eventually would go back to Disney by the end of the decade, if you know history. But we have Russell Crowe, Johnny Depp, and Angelina Jolie in the comedy The Tourist. I mean, remember that when The Tourist was billed as a comedy at the Golden Globe Awards? That was something that happened. So, yeah, we'll delve into that. And, yeah, I'll just tell you right now, this ain't a comedy or even that great of a movie anyway. But we do have movies that did... We have another great movie that should have been nominated should have won Best Picture, and that's David O. Russell's The Fighter with Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale, featuring a couple of Oscar-winning performances, including Christian Bale. And lastly, we have Julie Taymor's The Tempest, her big film after Across the Universe. Not quite, nowhere near as good as Across the Universe, but does that make it a bad movie in general? Well, we'll find out next time around. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. And whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.